Welcome to the Philippines, the land of lush forests, irregular archipelago, and many strange discoveries. For many years, researchers have been scouring the length and breadth of this region in the search for strange and awe-inspiring creatures and artifacts. In this video, we will be checking out 20 findings in the Philippines that left scientists in awe. Number 20. Homo Lenensis. For many years, scientists have been working hard to accurately reconstruct the human evolution tree. As we discover pieces of our ancient history, this straight-line tree has grown new branches, adding to the wealth of discoveries we've been able to uncover from our undocumented past. From the Ardioithecus to the Homo sapiens, our journey to becoming the topmost species on Earth is pretty complicated. Recently, scientists have discovered yet another previously unknown branch in this ancient tree. While exploring the Callao Cave in the Philippines, researchers uncovered teeth and bones said to belong to a new human species that had been shrouded in secrecy for thousands of years. This small-bodied hominin, known as Homo Lenensis, is believed to have lived on the island of Luzon some 50,000 to 67,000 years ago. Not only does this challenge the conventional view of human evolution, but it also raises the question of when humans began to live on the Philippine Islands. The remains used in this identification include a total of 7 teeth and 6 small bones. This discovery has generated so much excitement in the scientific community as it adds another layer to the evolutionary story, one that researchers hope will lead to even more discoveries that will help us understand the timeline of human evolution. It also makes Luzon the third Southeast Asian island in the last 15 years to deliver signs of unexpected ancient human activity. Number 19. Butchered rhino remains. Ordinarily, the discovery of butchered animal remains shouldn't spark too much excitement. But what if these remains were over 700,000 years old? While scouring a river floodplain on the island of Luzon in the Philippines, the same location where our previous discovery was made, researchers unearthed a butchered carcass belonging to a rhinoceros. 2 of the rhino's leg bones were smashed in, indicating that the people who were responsible for the butchering were trying to get those good bone marrow inside. Several cut marks were also observed on the bones, telltale signs that someone had delicately stripped the carcass of meat. This discovery totally counters the previously established timeline of human existence in the Philippines by about 600,000 years. It challenges everything scientists thought they knew about the history of the Philippines. Several ancient tools were also found at the site, more evidence that indeed early humans that were capable of crafting tools for solving daily problems once lived on the island over 700,000 years ago. But that's not the most mysterious part of this discovery. One riddle scientists haven't been able to solve is how those early humans were able to make it onto the island. One theory suggests that they probably floated on naturally made rafts, while others speculate that these ancient humans were transported by crudely made ancient boats. Whatever the case may be, scientists hope to discover more and more astounding finds, fixing the historical puzzle together piece by piece. Number 18. Strange triangle-shaped citadel. Travel with us to one of the most fascinating archaeological marvels nestled in the Philippines. These structures, known as ijangs, are terraced hill fort settlements believed to have been built by the Ivasian people. The construction of these buildings on the hills was very strategic. This is because they serve as both fortress and refuge for the Ivasian people in times of war. But these architectural masterpieces remained undiscovered, lost to the passage of time. But in 1994, Eusebio D. Zonk, the deputy director of the National Museum of the Philippines, traveled with his team to Savidug, a town in Sabtang. During their extensive explorations, they discovered these fascinating structures built in the shape of a triangle. These ijangs are often compared to the similar Gusuku castles found in Okinawa, Japan. Apart from the fact that the ijangs were built in high places, several artifacts, including 12th century Sung-type ceramics, along with some Chinese beads, were recovered from one of the ijangs. These ancient artifacts were dated to around 1200 BC, the same time as the foundations of the castles in Okinawa. There's a pretty interesting story about these ijangs. You see, according to oral history and tradition, It is believed that pre-Hispanic Ivatans sought refuge atop these ijangs. After reaching their assured safe spot, the Ivatans would then begin to hurl massive stones at the enemies below. These stones were used as an ancient form of ammunition, and you can still find evidence of these stone attacks at these ijangs. Although much of the ancient history of the Philippines was lost when the Spanish conquistadors attacked and took over the land, these ijangs stand as an enduring testament to the struggles of the people who lived on these ancient lands ages ago. Number 17. The limestone tombs of Kamhantik. The islands of the Philippines have a rich history, and over the years, scientists have been stumbling upon ancient sites that will help rediscover this lost history. This is the limestone tombs of Kamhantik, an excavated remains of a 1,000-year-old barangay, which was discovered in the jungles of Mount Maclayao in Sitio Kamhantik, Quezon, in the Philippines. Scientists believe that the pre-colonial Tagalog people were responsible for the creation of the tombs. In 1998, the government of the Philippines declared a massive stretch of forests measuring about 280 hectares as protected areas. This was to deter treasure hunters and slash-and-burn farmers from endangering the delicate archaeological sites within these regions. It was within this protected area that the limestone tombs were discovered in 2011. However, by the time the tombs were discovered, the lids, skeletons, and other ritual death goods buried within them had been plundered by treasure hunters, thus denying us the opportunity to venture into this chapter in the history of the Philippines. It is believed that the goods pilfered from the tombs now sit in private museums or collections around the world. This ancient site is currently being considered for designation as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It serves as a window into lost times, giving us the chance to understand the ancient burial practices of the pre-colonial Filipinos. Number 16. Oton Death Mask. Back in 1967, two brilliant anthropologists by the name of Alfredo Evangelista and F. Landa Jocano made an astounding discovery during a systematic archaeological excavation in the Philippines. Many discoveries were made during this excavation, but the Oton gold death mask stands out for its interesting history and fascinating artistry. Discovered in San Antonio, Oton, Iloilo, the mask dated back to the late 14th to early 15th century, known as the Age of Trade. It remains one of the most interesting pieces of ancient art ever discovered in the Philippines. But what exactly is it, and for what purpose was it used? Well, according to historians, the Oton told death mask was part of the ancient burial practices of an ancient tribe known as the Bisayans. These early Bisayans believed that by covering the eyes, nose, and mouth with these gold masks, the deceased received diving protection from evil spirits who sought to inhabit the body. They believed that the brightness of the gold was effective in driving the evil spirits away. But that's not all. Gold was also associated with social and financial status. Therefore, the high-class members of the society were buried with as much gold as possible. This includes golden jewelry, small gold in between the burial shroud, in addition to the gold mask. Historians also believe that this practice can be traced to some 1,700 years ago, and the discovery of these particular masks takes us down memory lane to the ancient communities that used to inhabit the region, their beliefs, practices, and lifestyle. Number 15. Pilosintos, the earliest currency of the Philippines. Thousands of years ago, humans invented money, and the world has not remained the same ever since. Piloncitos, also known as bulawan or granitos de oro, are these small bead-like pieces of gold which are known to be the earliest currency of the Philippines. Historians record that these gold pieces were used during the Archaic period, and their use extended into the earliest years of the Spanish colonial period. Earlier historical records show that gold had been used extensively throughout the Philippine archipelago, way before the Spaniards came. It was used as currency, as with the pilocintos, in burials like with the death mask, and also incorporated into everyday items. This form of currency was said to have been invented between the 9th and 12th centuries, after the archaic method of trade by barter became inconvenient. It was likely made from pure gold, weighing between 0.5 grams to about 3 grams. Archaeologists have unearthed many of these engraved gold bits from several areas throughout the Philippines, including Mandaluyong, Batan, Batangas, Samar, and Leyte in the Visayas, the banks of the Pasig River, and in some other areas around Mindanao. Number 14. Bubble sharks. Not every fascinating discovery in the Philippines is an archaeological site or artifact. This fascinating landscape is also home to a couple of strange creatures. Meet the bubble shark, an odd-looking sea creature which was discovered in 2011 by a team of marine biologists who were exploring the waters off Batangas and Mindoro Island. So how did it get the peculiar name? That can be attributed to its defense mechanism in the presence of danger. You see, whenever these bubble sharks sense an attack, they puff up to twice their size in order to scare away the predator. Scientists were pretty excited at this discovery, as it introduced a new species of swell shark that had remained undiscovered until now. An indirect effect of this discovery is that it reminds us of the fragile nature of our aquatic habitats and the need to protect the many creatures that call the ocean home. Number 13. The Palawan Bearcat. Another fascinating animal scientists discovered in the Philippines is the Palawan Bearcat, a subspecies of the binturong endemic to the island of Palawan. At first, the bearcat looks like something straight out of the imagination of Dr. Seuss, with the face of a cat and the body of a bear. Its long, shaggy black hair and stiff white whiskers, as well as the prehensile tail, which is basically as long as its body, give the impression that this creature was probably sketched by an over-imaginative cartoonist. But despite the name and the obvious resemblance, this animal is in no way related to bears or cats. The Palawan Bearcat can grow up to 4.6 feet, and they spend most of their time in the trees. However, they are not as acrobatic as monkeys, and they have to climb down to move from tree to tree. Bearcats are easygoing creatures who love to sleep all day, high up in the forest canopy. They also love to bask in the sun, and they move quite slowly, which leads many to confuse them with sloths, although the differences between these two animals are pretty obvious. However, the most fascinating feature of these animals is their smell. Believe it or not, the Palawan binturong smells exactly like popcorn. This is due to a chemical compound in their urine, which coincidentally is the major aroma compound that forms in popcorn during the popping process. The Palawan binturong is pretty important to the forests of the Philippines. This is because they help spread the seeds of the fruits they eat through their feces, thus indirectly replanting the rainforest. Number 12. Pandanon Shipwreck. On June 9, 1993, a diver by the name of Eduardo Gordarilla was looking for a missing basket containing pearls along the coast of southern Palawan in the Philippines when he stumbled upon something absolutely fascinating. Nestled under a heavy mass of sand and mud were the remains of a ship, which came to be known as the Pandanon Shipwreck. The wreck was eventually excavated in 1995 by the Underwater Archaeology Division of the National Museum of the Philippines, located in Pandanon Island. So, what is the story behind this shipwreck, and how long has it been sitting underwater waiting to be discovered? According to historians, the ship was probably a Southeast Asian cargo boat traveling from either Vietnam or southern China when it met its doom in the tumultuous waters of the Philippines. Archaeologists have tagged it the best-preserved pre-Spanish trading ship found within the jurisdiction of the Philippines. But that's not even the most interesting part. Right within this wreck, about 4,722 artifacts were discovered. Talk about a treasure chest. These ancient artifacts include well-preserved ceramic pieces, pearls, iron cauldrons, millstones, copper coins, mirrors, among others. One can only wonder what circumstances led to the shipwreck. Was it bad weather, human error, or maybe something more sinister? Many scientists have leaned more toward the bad weather theory to explain the crash, but the truth is, we may never really know what transpired that day many years ago. Number 11. Anguno Petroglyphs. Welcome to the site of the oldest known artworks in the Philippines, a place that has filled both seasoned and amateur archaeologists with awe and wonder for years. This is the Anguno Petroglyphs, boasting a collection of 127 human and animal-like stick figures delicately engraved on a cave wall. Over the years, rock arts have opened our eyes to the reality of early humans. At a time when language had not evolved into the complex system of communication that we have today, it served as a form of documentation of the history and experience of the people. The Anguno Petroglyphs are distributed horizontally on the rock shelter wall, measuring 25 meters by 3 meters. Of the 127 drawings inscribed on the wall, 51 are pretty distinct, suggesting that they may have been made by different individuals or by a different generation. While exploring the site, archaeologists also found 8 pieces of stone tools, which consisted of 2 pieces of obsidian flakes, 2 pieces of stone cherts, 2 pieces of flake stone tools, a piece of stone adze, and a piece of stone core. Number 10. The Golden Tara. The Philippines is like an ancient treasure chest, filled with diverse, beautiful, and alluring artifacts that will leave your mouth ajar. Check out the Golden Tara, also known as the Agusan image, a 21-karat gold statuette weighing about 4.4 pounds and measuring just 7 inches. There are several conflicting stories about what this figure is supposed to represent. Some say it was made in the likeness of a Buddhist known as Tara, while others tell a different story. The accounts of its discovery are also varied, although there is a general consensus that it was discovered in 1917 by a Manobo woman by the name of Bele Campos. According to the story, the woman was walking along the banks of the Wawa River near Esperanza, Angusan del Sur, when she noticed the gold figurine. She then kept the artifact as a manica or a doll until it was acquired by Blas Baclagan, the then Agusan deputy governor. This was when it earned the name Buawan ni Baclagan, or Gold of Baclagan. However, according to Constancia Guiral, Bele Campos's granddaughter, her grandmother had initially kept the figurine as a doll, but later she had it placed on the altar for worship. This was until it was stolen, eventually ending up in the hands of Blas Baclagan. In 1918, the Golden Tara was eventually brought to the attention of Dr. H. Otley Beyer, a renowned American anthropologist who declared it the most spectacular single find yet made in Philippine archaeology. Need we say more? The ancient artifact is now on display at the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago. Number 9. Bhutan Silver Paleograph. Back in the mid-1970s, a team of archaeologists from the National Museum of the Philippines made an astounding discovery in Bhutan, Agusan province of the Philippines, presenting the Bhutan Silver Paleograph, also known as Bhutan Silver Strip. This piece of metal with a couple of inscriptions on it has confounded scientists since its discovery, and its enigma still remains. Historians record that this fascinating artifact was initially discovered by treasure hunters who were searching for old ceramics and gold ornaments when they stumbled upon the silver strip inside a wooden coffin. Archaeologists found that this particular coffin bore a striking semblance with many coffins of the same type, dating back to the 14th and 15th centuries. According to historians, several human remains were also found in the coffin, including artificially deformed skulls. But there remains an air of mystique surrounding this discovery. You see, even after all these years, the inscriptions on the Bhutan Silver Paleograph remain indecipherable, and the origin has also been a subject of great debate. This fascinating piece of ancient artistry now rests within the National Museum of Anthropology in Manila, its secrets tightly shut behind a wall of lost history and forgotten scripts. Number 8. Banton Burial Cloth. What you're looking at is the oldest surviving specimen of textile in the Philippines, a piece known as the Banton Burial Cloth. The discovery of this abaca piece was purely incidental. Back in 1939, a farm boy by the name of Restituto Fonte saw the cloth relatively intact within one of several wooden coffins, which were found together in a cave in Banton Island, Romblon. Within these coffins were several human skulls and bones, along with some blue and white ceramics. The Banton burial cloth was so named because it was found along with human remains. It also remains the earliest known warp ikat textile in Southeast Asia, although the designs on this particular textile are pretty simple. Currently, the art of producing clothes using the ikat technique has become a lost art, which makes this discovery even more exciting. It stands as evidence of an ancient tradition of weaving that has now become lost due to the passage of time. Just like many of the other artifacts on this list, the Banton burial cloth now rests within the National Museum of Anthropology, a testament to the beautiful artistry of the ancient Filipinos. Number 7. The Cayaban Mummies. In the mountain slopes of Cayaban, Benguet, a town in the northern side of the Philippines, a pretty interesting discovery was made back in the early 20th century. Known as the Cayaban Mummies, or the Fire Mummies, these set of over 200 human remains presented a pretty cryptic scene when they were first discovered by the Westerners. Locals had known about the mummies for hundreds of years, but because the site was not adequately protected, foreign invaders were able to cart away a couple of these mummified remains. It has even been declared one of the 100 most endangered sites in the world. So, what's so peculiar about this site? To understand this, we travel back to around 2000 BC. Scientists believe that the practice of preserving the remains of the deceased began around this time. This technique was said to have been created by the Ibaloi, an indigenous tribe in Benguet. Before you confuse this mummification process with the Egyptian method, there is a stark difference between the two. Fire mummies were made shortly before the deceased passed away. They are made to ingest a very salty drink, and after death, the corpse is then washed and set over a fire in a seated position. This helps dry the fluids, reducing the chances of disintegration. Tobacco smoke is then blown into the mouth to dry the body's internal organs. At the end of the process, several herbs are then rubbed into the body, after which the mummified remains are placed in a coffin made of pine wood and laid to rest in rock shelters or natural caves. Number 6. Asian Giant Softshell Turtle. What you're looking at is one of the most critically endangered species in the world, a freshwater turtle known as the Asian Giant Softshell Turtle. This peculiar creature belongs to the family Triangleshaped and is native to Southeast Asia. It is known by many names. Some call it the frog-faced softshell turtle, while others know it as Cantor's giant softshell turtle. A fisherman working along the Adalam River in Cabarogos in the Philippines captured a juvenile Cantor's turtle, known as a cagat, and in 2001 the turtle was sent to Chicago and its identity was confirmed. It has a broad head, small eyes that are pretty close to the tip of its snout, and a smooth carapace. It has also been regarded as the world's largest extant freshwater turtle and can grow up to 5.9 feet in length. It is an ambush predator and primarily carnivorous. Its main diet consists of crustaceans, mollusks, and fish. Unfortunately, this magnificent species might be lost to the unforgiving grips of extinction. Sadly, there seems to be very little we can do to avert this outcome. Now, it's time for today's subscriber pick. Check out scientists' terrifying discovery in the Philippines that changes everything. Meet Kufus polythalamia, a rare giant shipworm, which was discovered in a shallow lagoon. For many years, scientists believed that the giant shipworm was extinct, owing to the fact that only fossilized shells have been found. But in 2007, scientists discovered this 1.5 meters long bivalve mollusk, which looks pretty much like an alien creature. This discovery absolutely shattered everything scientists had previously believed and raised the possibility of discovering other species that are thought to have been extinct. Share your thoughts about this recent discovery with us in the comments. Now let's get back to more amazing finds. Number 5. Flying Lemur. The forests of the Philippines are also home to another fascinating creature known as the colugo, or the flying lemur. They can be found on several of the southern islands in the Philippines, including Bohol, Mindanao, and Samar. These mammalian species may bear semblance to bats, but they're very different. The name itself is pretty misleading because the flying lemur is neither a lemur nor does it fly. Instead, it glides through the air as it leaps from tree to tree. A typical colugo weighs about 2.2 to 3.7 pounds, with a tail that's almost as long as its entire body. One interesting feature of this species is sexual dimorphism, which means that females are unusually larger than the males. Colugos have a wide head and rostrum, a robust mandible for increased bit strength, small eyes, and pretty big eyes that might scare you if you stumble upon them in the middle of the night. They are arboreal, which means they spend most of their time in the trees, foraging for food. While on the ground, colugos appear slow and clumsy, and are usually not able to stand erect. so you should understand why they prefer to stick with the trees. Number 4. The Tindalo Cross. During the first circumnavigation of the world, Spanish explorers led by Ferdinand Magellan arrived in Cebu in the Philippines on April 21, 1521. To mark this historical moment, the explorers planted a Christian cross now in Win as the Tindalo Cross. This piece of ancient history is currently housed within a stone kiosk known as the Magellan's Cross Pavilion. According to historical records, the original cross was encased within another cross made of Tindalo wood back in 1835. This was to protect the ancient artifact from those who chipped away parts of it, believing that it possessed miraculous powers. It's the perfect box-in-a-box trick, but many people believe that the original cross had been destroyed years ago, and what's left is just a replica of the original. On April 14, 2021, the cross, along with the pavilion, as well as the Basilica del Santo Niño Church and Convent, were declared as a national cultural treasure by the National Museum of the Philippines. Number 3. The Laguna Copper Plate. In 1989, a laborer working near the mouth of the Lumbang River in Wawa Laguna in the Philippines discovered a copper plate. It later turned out that this was in fact the oldest calendar-dated document ever found within the Philippine Islands. The document dates back to the Shaka year 822, or 900 AD. You would think that the oldest surviving document would be an official decree or something of the sort, but a sort of ancient receipt, a document of full acquittal, clearing a person of a salary-related debt. The text was written in Old Mallet, with a couple of loanwords from Sanskrit, and some non-Malay vocab elements which are suspected to be from Old Javanese. The document was first translated in 1991 by Antoon Postma, a Dutch anthropologist. It states that it releases the bearer of the receipt, the children of Namoran, from a debt in gold amounting to 1 kati and 8 suwarnas, which is about 865 grams or 27.8 troy ounces. Number 2. Flying Dragon. Meet another peculiar creature endemic to the Philippines, the Mindanao flying dragon, scientifically known as Draco mindanensis. The flying dragon is characterized by a dull grayish-brown body color and a vivid tangerine-orange dewlap. It is also one of the largest members of the genus Draco. It basically inhabits regions of primary and secondary growth forests and is currently under threat of extinction due to deforestation. Unfortunately, there are no specific conservation efforts being made to salvage whatever is left of this interesting species. The major focus of conservationists is protecting the habitats where the Mindanao flying dragon calls home. One of the fascinating features of this creature is its gliding abilities, using its set of elongated ribs, which are pretty flexible. Between these flexible ribs are folds of skin that rest flat against the body when not in use, but once it leaps into the air, the extra skin unfurls, allowing the Draco to catch the wind and soar. Number 1. Black Nazarene. Finally, in our exploration of awe-inspiring discoveries in the Philippines, we present the Black Nazarene. This is a life-sized image of a dark-skinned image of Jesus Christ carrying the cross. The statue can be found in the Minor Basilica and National Shrine of the Black Nazarene in Quiapo, Manila in the Philippines. This piece of ancient artistry was carved by the skillful hands of a Mexican artist, whose identity remains unknown. It is believed that the statue was made in the 16th century and then transported to the Philippines on May 31, 1606. It was first enshrined in the Church of San Juan Bautista of the Augustinian Recollects in Bagumbayan, Luneta. Many Filipino Christians believe that the image contains special divine powers, and by touching it, anyone can receive miracles and diseases. Whether this is true or not is open to interpretation. The image depicts Jesus on the way to his crucifixion and remains one of the remnants of the early Christian culture that captivated the Filipinos following the Spanish conquest. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.